Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to join us for our Zeald webinar series, Keep Calm and Get Digital. My name is Lisa, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Over the last few months, a lot of businesses have turned to digital. For some, they have just gotten started in this space. For others, it's been around growing their presence and knowledge on digital. No matter where you and your company are currently at in your digital transformation, it's important that you keep informed and up to date with the ever-changing digital space. We know how much time it can take to do your own research and get the right information. So today's topic, top e-commerce technologies powering successful businesses in 2020 is here to give you an overview and some helpful information and what is helping businesses be successful. Today, our speaker, as you just saw, has over 20 years in the media and digital space and has supported hundreds of small to medium businesses in their digital journey. His digital strategist skills and knowledge are supreme, and he has a brilliant presentation prepared for us today. A big welcome to Jara Borman, Agency Director of our Zeald Tauranga agency.
Good afternoon.
And now just for some quick housekeeping before we jump into the presentation. If you haven't joined us before, the Zoom settings are down the bottom. So if right now you can see me but not hear me, click on the audio settings here and it will let you select what device you're using. Also, if at any stage you have any questions, feel free to use our chat or Q&A button to ask us these questions. If it suits what we're talking about, I'll ask it there. However, we do have a full question segment at the end as well. Now, I hope you enjoy today's session, and I'd now like to invite Jared to take us through his presentation.
Cool. I'll just switch over. You can see my screen all right now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that great introduction, Lisa. Really appreciate it. And so it's my pleasure today to talk to you about the top e-commerce technologies that are powering successful businesses in 2020. Now, this is a really important topic because the right technology can really help or hinder your business as you try to sell online. So here's what we're going to go run through today. A little bit of an overview about e-commerce technology. What does it mean at the moment? What are some of the key statistics that are driving commerce online? Content management systems, or CMS. What are the leading ones? Some e-commerce tools, and we'll be looking through Google Analytics, Google Data Studio, a little bit of detail about product feeds, which are becoming more and more important for e-commerce sites, coupons, email marketing tools, remarketing, search and filtering, address validation, and dispatch. So those last one, there's quite a bit to cover. And so yeah, I hope you find some real value in what we're going to run through today. So a little bit of an overview about e-commerce technology. So New Zealand Post did some fantastic research this year. And what we've seen in the first 6 months of 2020, a 30% higher spend online than we had in the same period in 2019. Now, that's just the first 6 months. Anecdotally, and I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I've actually seen some even bigger growth over the last couple of months as well. So it hasn't buttoned off, it has continued to grow. There's been a 62% increase in people over the age of 60 using online to purchase. I always like to tell an interesting story myself. Just before we went into the first lockdown, my 80-year-old neighbour, she came over, knocked on the door and asked me if I could help her get set up to do some online shopping and order her supermarket shop each week using e-commerce. And she'd never done that before. And so I helped her get all set up and validate her address and everything. And she's away. She's ordering online since then. So we've seen a massive increase in people like that using online to purchase things. By 2021, so by next year at some stage, predicted global retail sales online is expected to grow to $4.8 trillion. So that's pretty big, just to give you an idea of what that scale looks like worldwide. So some of the benefits of e-commerce technology that you should be looking to achieve, it means that you get faster and more efficient business processes because you're getting purchases made and transacted without actually having to touch anything, which is quite cool. It can enable businesses to meet consumers' purchasing needs. What this means is you're essentially open 24/7, and that can't be underestimated. It's an avenue for cost-effective marketing. I also add to that, not just cost-effective marketing, but also attributable marketing. So you can actually see where your advertising dollar is going and what sort of results you're getting out of each dollar you spend. It also facilitates faster transactions as well. All right, especially if done right. When it comes to the individual user though, so for consumers we're talking about here, it's just convenience, right? So myself, I'm quite busy, I'm working during the day, then I've got kids to look after in the evening and put to bed. Most of the time when it comes to actually doing any purchasing, especially weekdays, it's not until quite late at night so that I'll have the opportunity to even think about that. And so those stores that make it convenient for me to purchase from them at that time, they're the ones that are getting my business. And that's true for quite a lot of people as well. It does mean that you can access a larger variety of products and services. It's easy product comparisons and review services online, and the ability to do product research first and then find the best deals. So it does become a little bit more price competitive in the e-commerce space, and so because people can check prices out against other people as well. And the ability to track orders is huge. I know when I'm purchasing online, being able to get notifications of where my product is. In fact, I purchased something from Australia the other day, and I actually got a notification telling me that it arrived in New Zealand. I saw a delivery notification. I thought, oh, it must be here. Nope, but I did get told that it arrived in New Zealand, which was quite nice. So easier record keeping with electronic receipts, and a combination of these things is just making it very compelling. Even before COVID forced some change towards contactless commerce and more online ordering, we'd already seen quite a big spike in online sales through e-commerce platforms. So that's why it's so important. Enables you to sell to a much wider audience than just your local market, and it can help you really expand and scale, most importantly, by optimizing users' experience and reaching new markets as well. So let's have a look at some of the technologies that you can use to try and leverage this growth in e-commerce for yourself. The first and most important decision you need to make when getting into e-commerce, or even if you're already in e-commerce and you're wanting to do better, is to really evaluate what your content management system is. This is like the operating system for your website. Right, so the content management system, it allows the software applications to run on it, and it allows you to manage websites without having to write code in most cases. It'll allow you to upload images, change text, and essentially manage, right, it's in the name, right, manage the content on the website. Most content management systems these days are really easy to use, very friendly, and allow you to publish content. Gone are the days where, as I said, you have to write code or something like that to be able to access and modify your website. And a lot of these sites also have pre-designed templates and come with a range of add-ons that you can use to extend the functionality of the site. So today we're going to talk through the leading content management systems. Together, these would make up somewhere in the vicinity of 60 to 70% of all e-commerce sites in the world, and especially in New Zealand, based on these ones here. And so we've got Shopify, we've got WooCommerce, we've got Zest, and we've got Magento as well. So with more customers going online, a lot of these sites and these pieces of software are really taking off at the moment. Some of them, each of them have their own quirks, and we're going to look at what their strengths and weaknesses are today. All right. Yeah, so we've gone through that: Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, and Zest. So let's start with Shopify. Right, so Shopify started as an e-commerce CMS, so right from the ground up, it's been all about e-commerce, and it was started in 2004 after the founders had a really poor online experience trying to buy some snowboarding gear, and they went, wow, we've got to do something about this. And so they now own nearly 20% of the global market share for e-commerce platforms. They are one of the biggest, not the biggest, but they are growing very, very quickly because they offer a very polished user experience and have a great app store for extra functions that you can kind of deploy on there. So it's really flexible, it's easy to use, it has free and paid themes which are available for your online store. Has a wide range of add-ons that expand the functionality of your store, and this is one of the key benefits of Shopify. The stores are fully hosted by Shopify. So this is what's called a proprietary platform. Shopify owns the code for the website, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it does maintain that for you as well. But it does mean that you can't just take your Shopify website away from Shopify. You have to pay hosting fees to them for the length of time that you want to run that site. All of the content, product data, everything like that is still remains your property with Shopify, as it does with other proprietary platforms as well. Some of the weaknesses, though, they charge a 2% of transaction fee, or up to 2% of every transaction within the platform for running through them. And plans start at $29 and can grow to $2.99 per month, excluding the transaction fees and app and subscription fees. So one thing that's really important to note here is that as you scale with Shopify and get bigger and bigger, that percentage of every transaction can start to add up and start to become quite onerous. And the other item is if you're looking at doing lots of add-ons within Shopify and lots of extra functions that you need to purchase add-ons for, those add-ons come through with a monthly fee, and they can add up really quickly as well. So Shopify is a great system, but it is one of the more expensive systems to use. It's great for maybe products with a lower sales order value, and then the percentage doesn't cause so much of an issue. But as you scale, often you can reach a point where those costs for Shopify start to become quite onerous. And I've seen that happen with a few of the bigger retailers on Shopify. So yeah, it's a great system, and don't get me wrong, I think it's fantastic, and we actually do work with a lot of Shopify websites at Zeald, but that just gives you an idea, a little bit of a balanced picture of what's good and not so good about it. All right. So next one on the list, this one is the most popular e-commerce system in the world, and this one is WooCommerce. It was released in 2011, and it was an immediate hit among WordPress website owners, and it achieved 1 million downloads within 2 years after it was released. It's way bigger than that now. It makes up nearly 30% of all online stores. It is a plugin, essentially, to the WordPress website operating system. So the content management system is WordPress, and it's combined with WooCommerce for e-commerce functionality. And WordPress itself powers, I think, over 60% of websites in the world. So you're talking about some very, very powerful technology that's very popular and used by a lot of website owners. WooCommerce has got some amazing strength. It's free and it's open source, all right? And that comes with some basic features to run an online store. So some of the out-of-the-box features for WooCommerce are fantastic, but it is flexible and it's highly customizable. This is its key strength, is that you can get a whole bunch of plugins for this, which are like apps for Shopify, but they're called plugins within the WordPress environment, and that allows you to extend and customize quite extensively. And so if at any point you have requirements for online selling, which are just a little bit unusual, not quite standard, then you really want to look at WooCommerce, because this allows you the greatest flexibility. Right, and it can be expanded through features and add-ons, as I mentioned, and it is also open source. Now that is a great strength, but also a little bit of a weakness, and we'll talk about that in a second. It has a huge community of developers and contributors, and so probably the largest range of developers are building plugins and extensions for WooCommerce. And so there's just about anything you want to throw at WooCommerce, someone's built a plugin that'll cater for it. Can't speak to the quality of those plugins. Some of them are better than others, but there will almost always be a plugin that will help get you somewhere along the way towards the features that you need. So let's have a think about this, maybe some of the weaknesses. So customizations will often require a developer to help, right? So if you want to actually code something on top of WordPress and WooCommerce, then it will require a developer to give you a bit of a hand. It's only available for WordPress websites. Add-ons can be costly. They're generally less expensive than on Shopify. There's usually an annual fee for those as opposed to monthly. It does need frequent updates, and this is where it becomes a little bit of a weakness. Because it's so popular, it's also a target for hackers and people that want to compromise sites that are on WooCommerce, and so it does need to be updated frequently. And the more plugins and extensions you've got, the harder that updating can be, because each one needs to be done very carefully. And it requires add-ons to implement multi-currency, for example, amongst other things. So for me, I'm actually a huge fan of WooCommerce, even though I've talked about some of those weaknesses around maybe security and the requirements for updating. It is the most flexible system out there. And as I said, if your requirements are for something a little bit unusual, this is a really good fit for you. Now, third on the list, this would be the third biggest e-commerce system in the world. It was higher. Magento was started as a project between a couple of university students and was released under an open license, so it's open source in 2008. It actually does have an open source version, which is the community version, and then it's got an enterprise version, which is actually paid. So it kind of has a proprietary and an open source option available. That enterprise version, though, is very expensive. Just speaking of the enterprise version, there is an enterprise version for Shopify as well, called Shopify Plus, but that is quite expensive too. We're talking thousands of dollars worth of just license fees each month. So it's become one of the biggest platforms in the world. It's onto version 2.0, sorry, 2.3, I think it is up to now actually. But you generally want to make sure that you're on version 2 of Magento. Version 1 of Magento is pretty much at end of life. And so if you are on an older Magento site, you're going to need to re-platform or re-upgrade to the newer version. Let's have a look at some of the strengths of this system. It includes a huge array of features out of the box. So Magento is an e-commerce all-rounder. It does really well out of the box and with the functions that it has available right from the start. It is highly scalable with a large number of extensions, and it is more of an enterprise level e-commerce system. This is probably the level of functions that you have available within Magento probably outstrip most people in terms of what they need from an e-commerce store to start with. It is very customizable and has a huge community of developers and designers to provide assistance for documents, forums, content. So there's a lot of resources available, as well as those extensions that we mentioned before as well. Extensions in Magento, more expensive than WooCommerce, and probably start to compare about the same kind of cost, depending on how many you get as a Shopify website. Right, let's have a look at some of the weaknesses of Magento. All right, the support and extensions require payment for basic Magento plan. Hosting is not included in your plan, so you will need quite a serious server really to host a Magento site. It does require a significant amount of resource to run because of the number of features that are there. It's quite a big code base. It does require a more advanced server system to host so that it runs effectively for users. The customizations within Magento and even configuring extensions to get extra functionality can be complex. Just takes longer within Magento to get things done. I think from my point of view and experience, when it comes to Magento, this is for larger retailers, and it also works really well for people that have multiple brands, maybe looking to target multiple countries. One of the things it does very, very well is have a multi-store function. So you can have one set of products, you can publish multiple stores off that one inventory set. And so that's where Magento really comes into its own. If you're looking to run multiple brand websites or looking to run into multiple countries, then Magento is probably your answer because it does that better than most. All right, and then we've got Zest. Last but certainly not least, here in New Zealand, Zest is a software application that's been built by Zeald. Just so we're really clear here, Zeald as a firm is what we call platform agnostic. So we work and develop websites on all of the leading e-commerce technology out there, and everything that we've talked about today, we build websites and maintain websites on. But we also have our own piece of proprietary software called Zest. It's a stable and robust platform that's been in development and being added to and enhanced for nearly 20 years. And it provides a number of simple and advanced content management options. And it also has a full-featured e-commerce solution that out of the box is baked in with almost everything you need to run an e-commerce store. And it currently powers thousands of websites in New Zealand. It's about 14 to 15% of e-commerce sites in New Zealand are running on Zest. So its strengths, it's an all-in-one solution for retail, and it also has a service-based business offering as well. Updates and debugging are done by Zeald because it's our own software. Any of the base code that's maintained by us in a similar way to how Shopify look after their base code as well. Easy to use interface. Plugins are developed in-house and are deployed at no cost. So all of the extra plugins and extensions that are at cost on other systems, these are all kind of baked into the core of the Zest system. And it has things like pricing groups for B2B pricing, also has advanced pricing modules and product options and all sorts of things in there as well, and that have been developed over the years to make sure that it's a full-functioned e-commerce system. Has dedicated customer support, a highly secure and robust platform, more secure than most, a highly mobile optimized checkout pathway. So the whole of Zest has been rebuilt recently to be more mobile first, so that offers a fantastic checkout process on a mobile phone. And it also has complex filtering and search systems built in as well. So the weaknesses of Zest, this is actually a Zest category page with some filtering and stuff like that to show you what it looks like. Weaknesses of Zest is that there is no community of developers to develop third-party apps. They're all done in-house, but it can be customized to meet your need, and it can only be purchased through Zeald. So that's some of the leading e-commerce technology out there as a base. So what are the content management systems themselves? And so what I would suggest is if you're joining us here today, you're possibly evaluating what sort of technology that you're looking to employ. So always pick the right content management system for you, all right? But put together a wish list of features, and not just things that you want to do now, but things that you might be needing to do in a couple of years, or even 3 to 4 years. And then once you've got that feature set together, then evaluate how each of those systems handle those features, whether they're inbuilt systems, whether they're paid add-ons or not. And once you've got a detail on how they handle all those features, then pick a system that's actually going to serve you well into the future. Because often we see sites that get built, and then people get kind of hamstrung when they try and take stage 2 or 3 and move forward, because that initial selection of their content management system hasn't been accurate. So it's a pretty important thing to pick. Right, from there, so we've got our website built. What sort of tools do we need to make sure we make the most out of that e-commerce site? So the right tools will allow you to understand your customers' behavior. They'll allow you to track how customers engage with you online, improve your marketing efforts, because you've got to measure everything, improve your customers' buying experience, understand where blockers and persuasion blockers are, so you can just smooth those things out and ensure people have a great experience, discover and analyze maybe even your competitors' online strategy. Ultimately, it's designed. These tools will be designed to acquire more customers and get people coming back. So the first tool that everyone should be using is Google Analytics. This is a free online tool that helps you track, analyze, and report on all traffic within your website. The key to it is that it's more than just tracking what pages people look at. It also tracks the effectiveness of any campaigns that you've got running, because you can see what traffic was generated from what source, but also more importantly, what sort of outcomes did you get? And that is done through conversion goals. So you can just determine how people found your website, but also more importantly, what happened once they were on the site. You can also get some really great information around demographic. So profiles like age, gender, location, interest, even device that people are on as well is quite important. But as I said, the most important part here is actually configuring what are called conversion goals, which are key outcomes on your website that have meaningful outcomes for your business. So obviously on an e-commerce framework, it's people actually checking out and buying something. But it could be as simple as getting people to add things, people adding things to cart, so you can measure the difference between add to cart and actual checkouts. So it's really important to set up conversion goals that track those important things on your site. Once you've got Google Analytics configured, Google Data Studio is the next level. This is a tool that allows you to visualize data by turning them into easy to understand dashboards and reports. This is like a Data Studio dashboard will allow you to view the performance of your website at any time of the day, and you can actually see how things are tracking over time. It provides really customizable reports, and it can acquire data from multiple sources. So it can pull in data from analytics, but also data in from Facebook, for example, if you're tracking things using the Facebook Pixel, which is another great tool that we could have mentioned here as well. It's worth mentioning now. All right, so it allows you to bring in a wide range of different data and then create some filters as well, so that you can create really nice dashboards. If you're running an e-commerce site, excuse me, having a Data Studio dashboard that allows you to see all the inputs into your site, what the outcomes are, allow you to make much smarter, more accurate decisions around where you should be spending your time and your money to improve performance and get updates in real time. Cool. So product feeds. What do I mean by product feeds? So product feeds are CSV, text, or XML files. So these are just different file formats that contain all of the information about your products. They are then uploaded to e-commerce channels such as the Google Merchant Center, Amazon, Facebook catalog, and then they're used to create product listing ads. You may have seen these Google shopping ads at the top of a Google search result, where you see images of a product along with the price and the merchant detail as well. Now, the way that you kind of qualify for these is to create a feed of all of your products and publish them through into those systems. So having a product feed that you can configure is really, really important. So this is critical, because what this allows you to do is to syndicate your products into other commerce systems. We're seeing some phenomenal results through product feeds into the Google Merchant Center and into Facebook. It also allows you to do things like dynamic product remarketing. So if someone visits your site, you can play ads to that person across the Google Display Network or across the Facebook network as well, showing ads that contain the products that people looked at. So it's important to get your inventory of products into these systems. because it tells e-commerce channels which products best match a customer's search and allows them to be served on their platform. It allows you to market your products into these multiple channels. And as I said, we're seeing phenomenal results for people out of these sort of syndications. It increases your online visibility for your products. Coupons. Creating digital coupons and special discounts are a great way to encourage customers to visit your shop, increase conversions. Really simple. Discount coupons work online and they work really, really well. It may sound simple, but they are still very effective. And so submitting these to coupon databases where your customers can find them is really powerful. Also sending them out through email marketing. Some coupon databases in New Zealand are Stuff has got one, Deal Spotter, Love Coupons, Finder, Cheapies, and couponcode.nz. So there's just a couple of ideas, places that you can submit coupon codes to help drive some additional sales. Email marketing is really big. The most effective and successful businesses that I work with in the e-commerce environment have a really strong email marketing program. It allows them to communicate with their customers really effectively and do it on a frequent basis without actually costing them a lot of money. So top email marketing tools that you could use, maybe MailChimp, HubSpot email marketing, Zest email marketing is inbuilt into our Zest platform, Constant Contact, Drip, Active Campaign is another one as well. Quite a fan of Active Campaign myself, but a lot of people use MailChimp these days. Remarketing is a fantastic way to ensure that you maximize your return on website visitors. So how it works is when people arrive on your website, a tracking code gets loaded into their browser. When they leave your website, other websites will play them ads, inviting them to come back to your website. So it's a really powerful strategy for making sure that you're marketing to people who have already expressed interest in your product by visiting your website. So the best remarketing tools out there are the Google Ads display remarketing system, Facebook custom audiences, Instagram retargeting is really good too. Twitter's tailored audiences work as well, AdRoll and Smarter HQ. Criteria is there as well. So these are all ways that you can remarket to people to ensure that once they've visited your site and seen a product, they keep getting reminded just gently about the product and the ability to come back and buy it. For me, search and filtering is one of the most important. What you'll find is that about 30% of customers, when they arrive on your website, will use the search bar to try and find products. So it's critical that they have a great experience when they do so. Now, search doesn't work by itself. Search on a website requires filtering as well. You will do an initial search criteria, maybe in this case, you maybe search for flowers, right? But then you want to have some filtering systems which allow you to refine your search results so that you can see a product set that meets your requirements. It allows you to create a consideration set very, very quickly when you have search and filtering running in conjunction effectively. It shortens the time that a customer will spend looking for a product. You could do a search, put a couple of filters on, and then be looking at exactly the products that meet your requirements very quickly. Increases the ability to find the products, improves the conversion on your website. The less clicks it takes for someone to find the product, the more likely they are to buy. All right, address validation. So you will see this starting to pop up on websites at the moment. It's a really powerful tool during the checkout process for making sure that it's easy for someone to check out. You don't have to fill out all of your address. You just start typing it and you get options to select from. And then it also ensures that you've got a verified address when someone creates an order for you that you know is a deliverable address. So that's why address validation is so important. It allows you to get more accurate orders. Also speeds up that checkout process, which is really awesome. And a lot of these address validation tools will cross-reference other databases. So Address Finder is our preferred one in New Zealand. It works off the same database as New Zealand Post. And so we have that fully integrated into Zest, but you can also install that into other sites as well. Addy is another good option. Informatica is another one too. All right, so you've got an order all the way through. Now, what do? Make sure your post-sale process is really strong. Make sure your dispatch process and your customer notifications are really, really powerful or really well designed. Automating this process will save you time. Make sure that your packages are delivered much more accurately, and will also provide customer updates and notifications as your packages are delivered. Some really cool dispatch tools that you can use that are integrated into most e-commerce software in New Zealand is eShip, Go Sweet Spot, and Starship It. These are all excellent ones that provide not just the notification, but also help you provide maybe some tracking codes and things like that as well. So I think we've got into questions now, and I think someone's raised their hand. So I think we'll let Lisa answer some questions, and we'll ask some questions.
Awesome, thank you. Been great listening to you. Certainly some definite fundamentals in there for people to look at for their websites. I can't see the same raised hand that you can. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's gone now for me.
It does seem to have disappeared too. So maybe it was an accident. As soon as we've called it out and said that there was a raised hand, they've put it down and run away. So,
oh, no, I see someone else has it now. Sharon, if you've got, I can let you talk, or you can type it through. I can go allowed to talk. Did you have a question for us, Sharon?
Maybe not. Can't hear her, but she has to unmute. So
yeah, I'll just disable talking. If you've got a question for us, feel free to put it through our chat. That's where we're able to see all of our questions that we can ask on your behalf. So yeah, I mean, you've listed quite a lot of different tools for e-commerce today. Is there one in particular that you feel people should focus on first, and why is that?
So I think if you haven't got it sorted, then getting your analytics correct is probably the first place to start. Ensuring you've got really good data to work from is critical. It allows you to, as I say, focus on the right places to spend your time and money to ensure that you're improving your overall performance. That's definitely the first place to start. Even if you're not using the data straight away, collecting it for future use is really important. So make sure you've got those tracking tools in place.
Definitely. Yeah, I think always looking at your results and trying to make some decisions based off your data rather than what you think might be good is definitely a good place to start.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So, you know, quite a lot of the people who join these webinars obviously are quite often running stores and then trying to sort out their online orders in between. So might not technically have a lot of time to spend on their website or looking at all these different things. So are there any sort of quick wins or things that can be implemented quite quickly and don't have a lot of maintenance long term?
Yeah, so looking at some of those dispatch systems would be really helpful, ensuring that you've got a really a system that helps you generate tracking codes, make sure that things get delivered to the right place, send customer notifications. All of those things are actually going to save you a lot of time. So if you're in that space where you haven't got a lot of time to dedicate to managing maybe some of these other tools, then they're a really good starting point. Because they'll just free up time, right? And create a better customer experience. And so it's a win-win.
Definitely. And just Rosalinda sort of asked a little bit more is about why a website owner needs Zest. What is Zest for?
Oh, great. So it's a great question. So Zest is the name for the content management system. So that's the operating system that you have the choice of picking for a website or an e-commerce site. So a lot of the sites that Zeald builds are on Zest. But they could also be on Shopify or Squarespace or something like that. So Zest is the operating system for your website, which allows you to load all of your products, and it also allows you to access all of the functions and features to run an e-commerce site. So it's probably the most critical piece of technology you can choose is what your content management system is, and Zest is one of those. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I do know your name, Rosalinda, and I know that you've taken up our gem offer. So that does mean that the website we've built for you is on our Zest platform.
Oh, great. Okay, that would explain it. So so if you've taken us up on our gem offer, definitely you'll be on our Zest platform, which is a great piece of technology for you to kind of grow and scale on.
Definitely. And just one last one from me is just, you know, obviously we've listed quite a few different platforms, but aside from having an e-commerce platform that allows you to list products and be able to check out and actually purchase, is there any key functionality that you feel an e-commerce website needs to have for someone?
Yeah, so that's the one we touched on around search and filtering. All right. For me, the most critical thing when it comes to running an e-commerce site is having a really well-crafted product discovery process. So that's the process someone will go through when they arrive on your website through to finding the right product. Now, if someone's having to spend a lot of time clicking into categories and navigating the site to try and
Mm,
find what they want, that's going to reduce the ability for them to purchase or reduce the chance of them purchasing. Whereas if you've got a really strong search and filtering system, it can allow someone to find that product set or the product that they want very, very quickly. And the shorter you can make that process, the more likely they are to buy. And so for me, crafting that is really important. I like to use an example that I had a while back. I needed to buy a fridge, right? Because I'd moved into a new house. And my buying criteria for a fridge was that this fridge would fit in the gap that I
mm,
needed for a fridge, right? So the height and the width, that's it. I actually didn't care about brand, I didn't care about anything else. Is it going to fit in that gap, right? And I went through all of the leading retailers and I could not find a single one that had the height and width set as a filtering option. And if one of them had, I would have bought immediately online. All right. In the end, I ended up having to ring a few people and actually got the information that I needed. But it was information that was available, but it hadn't been crafted into a kind of user journey. It hadn't been
mm.
given to a user on a website as things that they could use to find the right product. So that's just an example of a purchasing process I went through that someone would have made a couple of $1,000s out of if they'd got this bit right. And so for me, that's why I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now we've just had another question from Gavin. He's just asking us what was GEM? What is
What is
GEM?
GEM? That's a
Yeah.
great question. So we've referenced that, but haven't really talked about it. Thanks for raising that, Gavin. I think we've got a slide coming up just as we wrap up to give you a little bit more detail, but GEM stands for the Get E-commerce Movement. So Zeald is really passionate about providing and making sure every business that can be online is online and is able to sell their products and services so that they create some resilience in the New Zealand economy. If we ever have kind of maybe another alert or another incident where we go up alert levels or go down alert levels. So we're giving away e-commerce sites at zero cost to set them up, and the first 12 months hosting is on a no success, no fee arrangement as well. So it's just our way of trying to help as many Kiwi businesses as we can. So it's our Get E-commerce movement, and if you want to find out more details about that, go to zeald.com.
Awesome. Rosalind has just asked, and I'm guessing it's Zest specific, but we can probably answer across the platforms. She's being a bit specific. Can I offer a 30% discount on my product just for Kiwis and not for the rest of the world?
Well, that's a really interesting question. The answer is yes, because you can do anything online, right? It's just
Yes.
going to be a matter of how practical it is. So anything like that would just need to kind of review the platform that you're on, and then look at how easy it is to implement that and whether or not the cost makes it worthwhile.
Mm.
Right? Generally, if you're doing a discount like 30%, you only want to do it if it's actually still going to work for you and you're still going to make money. And if that's the case, then why not let everyone do it? I don't know, just a question.
Yeah. And I think just more from a technical perspective and me knowing around the different platforms we've covered here and a bit about some others we haven't, most of the time something that's quite, I guess, geographical, so IP related,
Mhm.
does end up being a customization generally is what we call
Yes.
them, or something where you're going to need someone to develop it or have some plugins work together to get that, because what you're trying to do is get first of all, the person located in the world, and some
Mhm.
people like to hide their IP, so just take that into account,
Yep.
and then apply a discount in that given scenario as well, or depending on delivery addresses, etc. So there might be just some things you would have to get in place to support that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the other part of that to make sure is really clear is that it's actually really hard to work out exactly where someone is, and so you're never going to get it 100% right, no matter how good a system you've got in place. So yeah, just worth pointing that out as well.
Definitely. Now,
Cool.
um, just quickly, Darren, for your first question, yes, there is a recording available later. So we have a webinar library that has
Yep.
all our recordings in there, and we will be sending you an email just with the recording link. But also, he's asked, is PayPal okay to use?
Yeah, PayPal's fine to use. It's pretty well known. It's one of the biggest payment providers or processors in the world. It's perfectly fine to use. If you're looking at which different payment providers to use, we tend to recommend Stripe. At the moment, it's a little bit cheaper than PayPal and offers a similar sort of set of features. And the other one that you might like to use is Windcave, which is based in New Zealand. Those are our preferred payment gateways to process payments online. So and most people are really familiar with both of those. The benefit of using WinCave is that it also has an account-to-account feature to authorize bank transfers as well, built into the same system. So PayPal, yes, it's good to use, but there are a couple of options I'd suggest might be a little bit better.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact time frames, but if I'm remember correctly, WinCave actually, the money comes straight through to your account, or it's within the same day, whereas sometimes with PayPal and Stripe and others, there's a wait or a delay before the money actually gets transferred to you directly as well.
Correct. You kind of need to download the money from their account and stuff like that. Whereas,
Yes.
yeah, you're right, WinCave, it's a direct payment processing system. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Darren. So that's all the time for questions today. If you do have anything, feel free to, send us an email, and we would be happy to get in touch just to talk that through with you. But let me just share my screen, should have presented first, wrap up for today. So just recapping on today, so whether you are just starting out or you are a bit of a veteran in the digital space, continuing to improve your knowledge and the fundamentals your digital business is built around is always an important aspect. So what we do know is digital is an ever-evolving space. However, the basics are the same, and there are some key technologies that will help power your business to digital success. The opportunity right now is get the right fundamentals, digital technology set up for your business to support it for the short term and the long term. Always keep in mind where you want your business to grow so that you don't have to keep starting from scratch each time, because that's pretty important there. And so the prediction here is those who get their digital fundamentals right and then evolve the business and their digital strategy around that will be more successful and have less changes in the future. And then last is the recommendation. If you have a website, then a must-have is some form of analytical reporting. And Jerry, I think you added that in with the question I asked you earlier.
Yes, definitely.
You need to see real user data to then help you focus on your problem areas. If you don't have a website though, I suggest you get one. And if you're unsure about what your report is actually saying or that data is saying, then start talking to maybe an expert or someone in the field that does know what that's saying for you. So Zeald, who are we? So over the last 20 years, we've helped over 15,000 businesses transform digitally. So if we also provide services under the Regional Business Partners Program. So if you want to find out more about that, or if you'd like to find more about how we can talk to you around your digital strategy, then please request a strategy session from us. Moving on, just the Get E-commerce movement as well, which we have already slightly covered off. So as a big move with how COVID has affected our world this year, Zeald set up the Get E-commerce movement gem, where we are offering free website builds, e-commerce, lead gen, charity websites. So we're covering right across the range there. And as Jara pointed out before, it is working on a no sale, no fee for the first 12 months. So you can find all our terms and conditions on our website, zeald.com. And then just wrapping up today, I'd like to first of all say a very special thank you to Jara, our presenter today. Very much appreciate all your valuable insights. I'm sure there's a few tips people have taken away from today. And then just highlighting, so next week's webinar, tips for creating high converting product descriptions and other sales content. Presented by me, but we're talking about it myself. But I will be taking you through how to craft product descriptions and other key website content that will help persuade and convert customers. That's what I'll be taking you through next week. And as also pointed out, if you do want to rewatch this, we have our webinar library on our website, or you will also be sent a link after the webinar, so tomorrow. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to seeing you here next week.